everybody. I've got to find my safety glasses. Hang on, I'll be back in a jiffy. Today, gone. Okay. So what I was we've arrived late, and the workshop's in a bit of a. I would have tidied up a bit, but I didn't get time. So welcome everybody to Friday afternoon Gravestone Carving Studio live feed on, what's the date, Tam? Do you know? 14th? No? I don't know. Mid-August. Something like that. Yeah, mid-August. Very late stage, what I've decided to do, one of the things that I wanted to show you was setting out a flower. So this job is what is the first bit of carving that we did at college when I went to college 25 years ago, or 24 years ago. And it's the first, on Portland, it's the first bit of carving that people are given to do. They're a kind of apprentice piece. They're the beginning of the first exercise that they get given. We've got a flower here. We've got a fit here. I'll bring it over. Just one this is an example. Just bop it here. That's Rich pitching up. Okay, so there. That's upside down. Okay, so you can just about see it. It's quite shallow, and that was done pretty quickly. As a so what I was doing was I was trying to show people what to do at the same time as going around kind of a class and showing everybody. So that's a bit kind of brutal and a bit primitive, really. But basically, this is an example. It's a flower. It's ABC carving. It's a really good place to start. When you start carving, it's really easy design-wise, and it teaches you. It introduces you to tool skills, various different techniques, and also kind of basic geometry. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of set it out. I'll just set it out now. If I'd been prepared, like I never am, I would have a drawing, and you could take details off the drawing, you take distances off the drawing, and measure it. But I haven't, and I won't, and I didn't. So I want to just. I'm wondering whether you can. This is really horrible. So it'll block your ears, everybody. This is really grim. This is called a French drag. It's a kind of plane. It's it's a stone plane, and it's very useful for bathstone. This is a piece of bathstone. It's a Neolithic limestone, and this is for flattening off the surface. They can be quite, and I'm going to make a horrible noise now, so it's just by way of playing off the saw marks. Sorry, that was really horrible, wasn't it? So if you get to, so it just flattens off the surface a bit, takes a few of the saw marks out, so that we can now draw on the surface. Okay. So first of all, so by rights, you would first use a square to see if the sawyer had sawn this square, and you would find, so this is quite reasonable, it isn't too bad, it's reasonably square. It's always worth checking for square. Some sawyers, we were really lucky at Salisbury Cathedral. The guy who runs the works department now, Gary, what's Gary's second name? Oh God. Gary now runs it. He was a sawyer when I was there, and he was really spot on, and you could trust it. So I got out of the habit of checking for square, and then when I ended up working at CWO, the sawyers weren't quite so good. They were pretty good, but they weren't quite so good. And there's certain sawyers at certain quarries that you could trust to be completely out of square. You know, they just didn't give a damn. It was all over the shop. So anyway, you check for square this way. You should also check for square this way, but I'm not going to.
Thomas, turn it down, please.
Yeah. So, find our centre. Right. Let's go on. And just shut that. I love this. No, that's finished. 3B. Yeah, sometimes the pencils get, these are 10H pencils, and sometimes they've been battered a bit so that you can't sharpen them. So, this was, this hasn't got tungsten tips on it. This is just steel dividers, and it's got and it was real cheap as chips. This was, and it's got a little pencil holder on it, which has proved really useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first make an initial. I'm making a kind of judgment. I'm going to go 1/2 inch from the edge, and I'm going to make my first. So this is the panel in which the flower is going to be, and so I mean I've done this in pencil. Ideally, I would if there's a tungsten tip divider, this is lovely. You could do this, and it's quite useful actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a line. Excuse my language.
So it scribes a line.
Yeah, scribes a line. So these are tungsten tip. I scribe the line because that's going to do, and then I'll just draw into that scribed line. Yeah. So there you go. We've got that initial circle. So now I want to find. So this is. I'm going to kind of designate. This is my top. So I write TV, top bed on it, and the reason I'm designating that is because I want that first leaf to come upright. Because it looks I think it looks better if the leaf is at the top like that. It doesn't have to be, but I think it looks better. So basically, I either 250 wide. So I'm going to 1, 125, 125, and annoyingly I tend to alternate between millimetres and inches. I might, if it's more convenient, I might even go, that's 10 inches, if it is 10 inches, and then that's 250 millimetres that way. It doesn't help anybody, but it makes life, it's kind of in the short term we shouldn't do it really. Okay, so now I'm going to divide it into 5. Yes, I'm going to bigger, because that looks quite a nice proportion, so I'm going to steal that size. We've got our centre. What would you call that? The centre of the daisy or the flower? You call that the. Oh. And then what we do is 5. And there may be a really good way of doing that, but the way that I was taught and the way that I continue to do it is to guess. So there we go, I'm guessing. I'm going to go, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, it's not going to work, there's 4, and there's 5. So we're short. So if I divide that into 5, I extend it to there. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still short. Try that. So the advantages of having a scribe line and then a pencil mark in the line is that it stays much. It doesn't just rub out onto. So there we go, we've got very slightly smaller. Okay, let's try that. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's do that pencil. Thanks, love. So it's very slightly short. Right. So we now have five lines, and what I'm going to do is push these, all 5 of them, through the centre like this one, because I'll show you why. So that can, is that everything? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why is that like that?
I think 4's in the wrong place.
4's in the wrong place?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ross. There we go. That would have taken me half an hour to work out. Okay, there we go. 4. So this one, so with these leaves then, so we're going to draw draw the leaves in, and these leaves, it's easier for me. I'll initially draw them on the board. So the nice thing about these, right? Okay. So in stone, it's these shapes. So each one of those leaves is going to slip underneath the next one. So you have this. Yeah. So you have a straight curve like that, and then you have this shape, an S shape. Yeah. And then this straight curve sits over the S shape. So you have the next one goes straight over here like that. And then the S shape like that. I mean, I'm exaggerating. And then there's an S shape in here. And then what's nice about this is what makes it live is that this is high, this is low, this is high, and this is low. So if you were to then do it from the side, it goes like that, and like that, and there's your centre of the flower. And that's what gives it the movement. So, what I'm going to do is initially just draw. So there's the line from the 4 coming to here. So draw that line in there, and that line in there. And that line in there. So the line's coming from the tip of the where I've designated the flower. So there's 1 to the back. So that I've drawn this line through from right the way through to this point on the centre of the flower. So that's where it ends up. So it starts off there. So that each one of those. Now, what I would do and what I have done, and there is probably one knocking about, but I can't be bothered to look for it, is a template. So each one of these flowers would be the same, because I would create a template so that I can apply it again and again as it gets rubbed out. There's our yeah. So there's the left hand side of the flower, which is the high point, and then you've got the right hand side of the flower. Actually, let's do this. So you go in and then round, and it tucks under. That's all right. So we come out in and around, and it tucks under. So this is high, this is low. So we're kind of making all these high, round. Yeah. Let's do that, because that's. There we go, that's better. So there you go, that's better. So there you go. There's our flower set out and drawn. And you can see, because I haven't used a template, some of these shapes are prettier than others. Now, you know, so what? Some of these, so yeah, some of these shapes are pretty. So that's how I would do that initial setting out. There's our top. Let's turn it round. So there's the top, and it's very roughly done and very quickly done. And like I said, I would create a template. I would do a really nice shape, one really nice shape, and I'd create a template for it, and I'd apply the template all the way around, and then I'd scribe round the template into that. And this is the area that we then drop away. We make, you take, this is the area that then comes out and creates our depth. So that's the kind of first stage in doing a flower, and I think I'm going to stop there. And next week we can, what I'll do is, whilst you're away, I might even rub it out and start again. But I mean, what I'll do is I'll produce a template for it and show you how to apply that template. It's always useful to have one, because even if you scribe it, you can lose the line, so it's worth having. If there's anybody watching, is there any queries, any bothers? Right, so the other thing that I'm going to do is that I've got a student, or a potential student, and also I've been wanting to do this for a while, who has only use of one arm. I don't have to tell you why. I will if I can ask his permission, but he has only use of one arm. So I'm looking at a way for him to carve. And so what I've done is, there's a scutch hammer. I bought a double-ended scutch hammer, and I'm going to get a straight. John told me what they were called, but they're basically the same bit of kit, only not toothed. So they're not a scutch and tooth. I've sharpened this one, and then there's this. I bought this. This is a little pick, and what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, I don't know what kind of tool steel it is, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen this to a masonry. Sharpness, kind of like masonry tool sharpness, and see if it works. See if we can make it work. So, I won't do that on. I won't light up machinery and make loads of noise. It was enough with the drag. So So that's what I will do next week. And what I'll do is I'll show you that when I've done it next week, and when I've had to chat to John Parsons about it and shown him, because. One of the options that we were looking at was trying to let in some tungsten, but that may not be the best option, or even possible with this. It might be too little steel here, and we shall see whether we can get a decent edge on it for cutting stone. I know that we can with this. But this is used for roughing out. But I want to try and see if it can be used. For carving, but and how so I'm going to have a play with that this week as well, to see if we can get it working. That doesn't feel very yeah, maybe it just takes some getting used to, but it's something I've been thinking about for a while, because I wanted to do courses for veterans as well, and some of those have got bits blown off them, so they may not be able to use both hands. Height's not a problem, so people with wheelchairs or mobility problems with their lower limbs is not a problem, because we can actually just lower this banker, and they can get around it and work from a seated position, and it would just be really nice to make sure that we can say, yeah, no, we've done that, we can do that. So this is something that I'm playing with. I think that's, we're coming up to 5:30, aren't we? So I'm going to pack it in, and thank you very much for watching. Just to say again, we've got courses on a Monday morning and a Monday evening. This is in mid-August. We got them in 2020, so we got them starting in September, the beginning of September of this month, and then there's another lot at the beginning of October. So our courses usually run, COVID providing, our courses usually run kind of every 7 weeks, except during the summer where I don't do it, and sometimes in January I decide that not having it. But we also do a one-day Saturday course, and if you look on the website you'll see when all the next courses are. So thank you for watching, all the best, and I hope that was useful. Cheers.